The bridal boutique smelled of white roses and expensive promises. Bridal consultants adjusted delicate veils and straightened shimmering gowns beneath crystal chandeliers, their quiet smiles reflecting the excitement that filled the showroom. Near the center
You look
display, Kang Ji-ho
beautiful.
stood beside his
Thank you.
fiancée, watching her
I,
admire herself in front of a floor-length mirror. The ivory gown fit her perfectly. Around them, everyone smiled. In less than 48 hours, she would become his wife. Then the entrance door opened. No one screamed. No one dropped anything. But something changed. 3 consultants near the entrance stopped moving at the exact same moment. One lowered the gown she was carrying. Another quietly stepped aside without being asked. Jiho frowned and turned. A woman had just walked into the boutique. She was not looking for anyone. One hand rested protectively beneath the gentle curve of her pregnant belly, while the other held the strap of her handbag. She paused beside a display of wedding gowns, studying the embroidery as though she had simply wandered into another luxury store. Then she looked up. Their eyes met. His fingers loosened around the garment bag. It slipped from his hand and landed silently on the polished marble floor. 14 months disappeared in a single breath. It was her. She did not smile. She did not cry. She stood completely still, her jaw tightening the way it always did when you was fighting something she refused to show. Seo Yan looked from Ji-ho to the pregnant stranger, then back again. The smile on her face dissolved slowly, replaced by something she could not name yet. She whispered, "Ji-ho." He never answered, because one impossible question had drowned out every other thought in the room. Why was the woman he loved 8 months pregnant? And who had sent her to this boutique today? Ji-ho crossed the showroom floor before he understood that his legs were already moving. The consultants watched him. So-yeon watched him. Every person inside that boutique watched him walk away from his fiancée toward a pregnant woman who had not existed in his life for 14 months. He stopped 3 feet away from her. She was exactly as he remembered, except her eyes were different now. Something lived inside them that had not been there before. Something careful and guarded, like a door locked from the inside. Amara. Her name came out lower than he intended. She adjusted the strap of her handbag and lifted her chin slightly. "I did not know you would be here." He almost believed her. "I came for a friend," she added. She needed help choosing a dress. Ji-ho looked around the boutique slowly. No friend, no companion, no one waiting near the entrance or browsing near the back. He looked back at her. What friend? She did not answer that. Her phone vibrated inside her bag. She glanced down briefly, and something moved across her face, so fast he nearly missed it. Not fear exactly. Something closer to recognition, the kind that arrives when something you were dreading finally shows up. She did not answer the call. "Where have you been?" he asked. The question came out quietly, which surprised him, because everything inside him was not quiet at all. 14 months of silence had a weight to it. He had searched. He had called numbers that no longer worked. He had sent people to addresses that turned out to be empty buildings. And then one morning, he had forced himself to stop, because continuing felt like choosing to drown slowly. Amara looked at him for a long moment. "Somewhere safe," she said. "Safe from what?" She shifted her weight slightly. Her hand moved back to her belly, that quiet, protective gesture, automatic and unconscious. "Ji-ho," she said, "please don't do this here." "Then tell me where." "I can't." Something tightened across his chest. He lowered his voice so only she could hear him. Did you disappear because you wanted to? She looked at him, and for the first time since walking through that door, something cracked open behind her eyes. Did you really think, she said slowly, that I left because I wanted to? He had no answer for that. She turned toward the exit. Please, he said, don't walk away again. She paused with her back to him. 1 breath, 2. Then she kept walking. The boutique doors closed behind her. Ji-ho stood in the center of the showroom, surrounded by white gowns and chandelier light, 48 hours from his wedding. He had not asked the one question burning through everything. He was not ready for the answer. Seo-yeon did not raise her voice. That was the thing about her. Even now, standing in the center of a bridal boutique, surrounded by consultants pretending not to watch, she simply looked at Ji-ho with the steady expression of a woman assembling information she did not yet fully understand. Who is she? She asked. Ji-ho turned from the door. His jaw was tight. The garment bag was still on the floor where it had fallen. Her name is Amara, he said. And the child? The question landed between them like something fragile and irreversible. Seo-yeon deserved a direct answer. They both knew it. I don't know, he said. It was the most honest thing he had said in months. Seo-yeon studied his face for a long moment. Then she reached down, picked up the garment bag from the floor, and placed it carefully across the nearest chair. You should go after her, she said. He looked at her. Ji-ho. Her voice was calm, but there was something underneath it, something controlled and careful. You just watched a pregnant woman walk out of this boutique, a woman you clearly knew, a woman whose name you said the way people say the names of things they have lost. She paused. Go. He wanted to say something. He was not sure what. He left. Outside, the afternoon air was sharp and cool. He looked left, then right along the wide commercial street. Luxury storefronts stretched in both directions. A few pedestrians. A valet station across the road. Amara was gone. Not walking slowly around the corner, gone. Completely gone. A black car had been waiting for her. He knew this because the valet attendant across the street was still watching the space where it had been parked. The particular look of someone who had just witnessed something worth remembering. Ji-ho crossed the road. The woman who just left, he said. The black car. Did you see the plates? The attendant hesitated. Sir, I wasn't really. Did you see them? Another hesitation. It wasn't a regular car service, the attendant said carefully. The plates were covered, both of them, front and back. Covered plates. Ji-ho stood on the pavement and felt the afternoon rearrange itself around him. People did not cover license plates for privacy. They covered them because someone did not want a record of where that car had been. Someone had sent Amara to that boutique. Someone had known exactly where Ji-ho would be today. And that someone had been watching long enough to have the car waiting before she even walked back out. His phone buzzed. A message from a number he did not recognize. 4 words. Leave it alone, Ji-ho. Ji-ho read the message 3 times. Leave it alone, Ji-ho. No name, no number he recognized. Sent within 2 minutes of Amara walking out of the boutique, which meant whoever sent it had been watching close enough to know the exact moment she left. He typed back 1 word. Who is this? The message delivered. It was never read. He stood on that pavement for another minute, then walked back inside. Seo-yeon was seated near the window, her wedding folder open on her lap, a consultant beside her pointing at something on a printed schedule. She looked composed. almost too composed, the way people look when they have decided that falling apart is not an option they are willing to consider. Jiho sat across from her. Seo Yeon. The florist confirmed ivory roses, she said, without looking up. Your assistant approved the centerpiece arrangement yesterday. Seo Yeon. She closed the folder. The consultant quietly disappeared. Talk to me, Jiho said. She looked at him with an expression he had not seen on her before. Not anger, not hurt exactly. Something more considered than both of those things. How long were you together? She asked. 2 years? And she left 14 months ago. She disappeared, he said. There is a difference. Seo-yeon was quiet for a moment. Did you look for her? For 4 months. Something shifted in her expression. She absorbed that, the 4 months, what it meant, what it said about everything she thought she understood about the man sitting in front of her. Who knew we would be here today? Jiho asked. She frowned. What? This boutique. Today's appointment. Who knew? Our families, your assistant, the wedding coordinator. She paused. Your grandfather's office confirmed the appointment time on Monday. Jiho went very still. His grandfather's office. Chairman Kang had personally recommended this boutique 6 weeks ago, had insisted on it, in that particular way of his where suggestions were never actually suggestions. Did your family share the appointment details with anyone outside? Jiho asked. Jiho, what is happening? He looked at the entrance doors. Someone sent her here today, he said. Someone who knew exactly where I would be and had a car waiting before she even walked back out. Someone who sent me a message the moment she left telling me to leave it alone. Seo-yeon stared at him. And that someone, he said quietly, knew that seeing her like this, 8 months pregnant, 48 hours before our wedding, would do the maximum possible damage. Damage to what? He looked at her. To everything. His phone buzzed again. Not a message this time. A call. His grandfather's private line. Jiho looked at the screen for 3 full seconds. Then he answered it. Jiho! His grandfather's voice was exactly what it always was. Measured, unhurried. The voice of a man who had never once been caught off guard or had spent a lifetime making certain no one ever saw it when he was. Where is she? Jiho said. A pause, brief but real. I don't know what you mean. Amara walked into my boutique this morning, 48 hours before my wedding. Someone sent her there, covered the plates on her car, and sent me a message the moment she left. He kept his voice low. Your office confirmed today's appointment on Monday. Silence on the line. Not the silence of confusion, the silence of calculation. Come to the house, Chairman Kang said finally. Tonight, we will talk properly. We will talk now. Jiho! Something sharpened in the old man's voice. There are things about that woman you do not fully understand. Things I have protected you from. Come tonight and I will explain everything. The call ended. Jiho held the phone against his palm and stared at nothing in particular. His grandfather had not denied it. He had not said, I don't know who sent her. He had not expressed surprise that Amara had appeared at all. He had simply redirected. The way a man redirects when confirming the truth is more dangerous than delaying it. Jiho stood, told Seo-yeon he would be back within the hour, and left before she could respond. He drove to the one person who had known Amara almost as long as he had. Daniel answered the door of his apartment, still holding a coffee mug, took one look at Jiho's face, and stepped aside without a word. They sat in the kitchen. Jiho told him everything. Daniel listened without interrupting, which was unusual enough on its own to feel significant. When Jiho finished, Daniel set down his mug. "She called me," Daniel said. "3 weeks ago." Jiho looked at him. "She said she needed to know if you were still in the city." I told her yes. He paused. "She made me promise not to tell you she had called." "Why?" "She said it was safer that way." He picked up the mug again, then put it back down. "Jiho!" She sounded scared. Not emotional scared. Practically scared. The way someone sounds when they are managing a real threat, not a feeling. Did she say what she was afraid of? No. But she asked me one question before she hung up. Daniel looked at him carefully. She asked whether your grandfather had ever mentioned her name in the last 14 months. The kitchen felt smaller suddenly. "What did you tell her?" Jiho asked. "I told her no." Daniel hesitated. "But that was a lie. He mentioned her once, about a week after she disappeared." "What did he say?" Daniel exhaled slowly. He said, "Some doors are better kept closed. Some doors are better kept closed." Jiho drove back toward the boutique, with those words sitting in his chest like something swallowed the wrong way. His grandfather had said them 1 week after Amara disappeared. Not 1 week after she left. 1 week after she disappeared. Which meant the old man had known from the very beginning that she was gone, and had chosen that particular sentence to describe her. He pulled over 2 blocks from the boutique and called his assistant. "Min-jae, I need every record of who accessed my personal calendar in the last 6 weeks. Appointment confirmations, schedule changes, anything sent externally. Everything." "Sir, that would include your grandfather's office." "I know what it includes." "I'll have it within the hour." He sat with the engine running. Amara had called Daniel 3 weeks ago, asking whether Jiho was still in the city. That meant she had been close, within reach. And instead of calling Jiho directly, she had contacted his oldest friend to gather information carefully, the way someone gathers information when they are not certain who is safe to trust. She was not hiding from Jiho. She was hiding from something around him. His phone rang, a number he did not recognize. He answered. Silence for 2 seconds. Then a woman's voice, older, slightly breathless, like someone who had rehearsed this call and was now losing her nerve mid-sentence. "Mr. Kang, I don't have much time and I cannot tell you everything, not yet. But I need you to know one thing before tomorrow." She paused. She did not leave willingly. Jiho said nothing. "I should have called 14 months ago," the woman continued. "I told myself it was not my place. I told myself it would resolve itself." Her voice tightened. "But you are getting married tomorrow, and I cannot let that happen while she is out there alone and you do not even know the truth." "Who are you?" he asked. "Someone who was in the room when the decision was made." A sharp breath. "I cannot say more right now, but do not marry that woman tomorrow, Mr. Kang. Not until you find Amara, and ask her yourself what she was told the night she left." The line went dead. Jiho sat completely still in the parked car. She did not leave willingly. Someone had been in the room when a decision was made. A decision about Amara. A decision that had involved enough people to require a room. His phone buzzed. Min-jae. "Sir, I found the calendar records. Someone accessed your personal schedule from inside the household network, not your grandfather's office directly." Jiho closed his eyes briefly. "Whose login?" he asked. A pause on the line. "Your grandfather's personal bodyguard, Mr. Kang. Mr. Shin accessed your full calendar 4 times in the last 6 weeks. Mr. Shin had worked for Chairman Kong for 22 years. Jiho knew this because his grandfather mentioned it whenever the bodyguard's name came up, the way people mention loyalty when they want you to stop asking questions. He drove to the main house, not to see his grandfather, not yet. Mr. Shin was standing near the gate when Jiho pulled in, which was either coincidence or the opposite of coincidence. The man was broad-shouldered, somewhere in his late 50s, with the particular stillness of someone trained to reveal nothing through posture or expression. Mr. Shin. Sir. A small, respectful nod. My personal calendar. You accessed it 4 times in the last 6 weeks. Something moved behind the bodyguard's eyes, barely visible. There and gone. The chairman asked me to confirm your appointments, he said. Wedding preparations require coordination across multiple schedules. I was ensuring there were no conflicts. All 4 times? Yes, sir. It was a clean answer, prepared. The kind of answer that arrives too quickly to have been invented on the spot, which meant it had been ready and waiting for this exact conversation. Jiho studied him for a moment, then walked past him into the house. His grandfather's study was empty. The housekeeper informed him that Chairman Kong had left for a medical appointment 30 minutes ago. Jiho stood in the center of the study and looked around the room, the bookshelves, the desk, the framed family photographs, arranged in precise chronological order along the far wall. He had stood in this room 100 times. He had never once thought to look carefully at what was on that desk. A leather document folder sat beside the telephone. Routine paperwork, the kind that lived permanently on his grandfather's desk without anyone ever examining it closely. Jiho opened it. Most of it was corporate, board meeting minutes, property documents. A letter from the family legal team dated 6 weeks ago. He almost closed it. Then a single page near the back caught his eye. It was a family registry document. Formal, official, bearing the Kang family seal in the upper right corner. His name was on it. Amara's name was on it. And below both names, listed as an unborn heir pending confirmation of lineage, was a child. Registered 3 months ago, his grandfather had registered Amara's unborn child into the Kang family records 3 months ago without telling a single person. Without telling Jiho. Without telling Amara as far as he knew. The child had been claimed by this family before Jiho even knew the child existed. His hands were completely steady, which surprised him. He folded the document carefully and placed it inside his jacket. Then he heard footsteps in the hallway, not the housekeeper's quiet shuffle, heavier, deliberate. He turned. Mr. Shin was standing in the doorway of the study, looking directly at the document folder on the desk. Then he looked at Jiho's jacket. Sir, he said quietly, the chairman would like you to wait. Jiho did not move. Neither did Mr. Shin. The study felt smaller than it had 30 seconds ago, the two of them standing on opposite sides of a room that had suddenly become something other than a room. The chairman would like you to wait, Mr. Shin repeated. I heard you the first time, Jiho said. He walked toward the door. Mr. Shin did not step aside immediately. 1 full second passed before he moved, just enough to make the choice deliberate without making it a confrontation. Jiho noted that. Filed it away. He drove 3 blocks from the house and pulled over. The registry document was still inside his jacket. He took it out and read it again, slowly this time. The registration date was confirmed 3 months ago, the legal language formal and precise, bearing his grandfather's personal seal alongside the family legal team's verification stamp. This was not a document someone prepared casually. This required a lawyer, a notary, a medical confirmation of pregnancy. Someone had provided proof that the child existed and proof of paternity, which meant someone had obtained that proof, which meant someone had access to Amara's medical records months before Jiho knew she was even pregnant. His phone rang. Seo Yeon. He stared at her name for 2 rings, then answered. "I'm still here," she said. Not accusatory, simply factual. "I know, I'm sorry." "Jiho." A pause. "My father called while you were gone. He wants confirmation that tomorrow's ceremony is proceeding as planned. The guests are arriving tonight. The venue is fully arranged." Another pause, longer this time. "I need to know what to tell him." Jiho looked through the windshield, at nothing in particular. "Give me until this evening," he said. Silence on her end. He could hear her breathing, steady and controlled, the sound of someone holding themselves together through pure discipline. "She matters to you," Soyeon said, not a question. "It is more complicated than that." "It always is." Her voice was quiet. "Find her, Jiho. Whatever this is, find her, and understand it before you make any decision. I would rather know the truth tonight than discover it a year from now." She ended the call. Jiho sat with the phone in his hand and felt something uncomfortable move through him. Seo Yeon deserved none of this. She had walked into an engagement with a man who had never fully arrived, and she had done so with grace and intelligence, and a dignity he was only now fully recognizing. His phone buzzed. A message from Daniel. "She contacted me again, 10 minutes ago. She wants to meet you. Tonight. Alone." A second message arrived immediately after. "Jiho, she looked frightened. Not emotional. Frightened." Then a third message. "She said to come before 9. After 9, she said, 'It will be too late.'" The address Daniel sent was a serviced apartment on the quieter side of the city, the kind of building that asked no questions and kept no records of its guests. Jiho knocked twice. The door opened and Amara stood there in the same clothes from the boutique, her handbag gone, one hand resting on the doorframe. She looked at him the way people look at things they have spent a long time imagining and are now unsure whether the real version is better or worse than the one inside their head. She stepped back to let him in. The apartment was sparse. A small table, 2 chairs, a hospital bag sitting near the bedroom door, already packed. She had been ready to leave at any moment. They sat across from each other. Neither of them spoke for a long moment. "You registered an address in 3 different cities in the last 14 months, Jiho said finally. "I know because I looked. Each one was empty when my people arrived." "I know," she said. "I moved every time I felt the location had been compromised." "Compromised by whom?" She looked at her hands. "I received a visit the night I left. 2 men I had never seen before. They were polite, which made it worse somehow." She paused. "They told me that my continued presence in your life created a problem for your family. They told me the relationship would be ended regardless of what I chose, but that I had the option of leaving quietly or having people I loved face consequences I would not be able to prevent." "Which people?" She looked up. "My younger brother was finishing his final year of university on a scholarship that could be revoked with one phone call. My mother had a business lease renewable every 6 months." She held his gaze. "They knew everything, Jiho. Details that take time and resources to gather. This was not improvised." Jiho sat with that for a moment. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because they told me not to, and because—" She stopped, started again. Because I was not certain you did not already know. That landed like a hand pressed flat against his chest. You thought I sent them. I thought it was possible, she said quietly. For about 3 months, I thought it was possible. Then I stopped thinking about it because thinking about it was unbearable. He wanted to reach across the table. He did not. Amara, the child. She met his eyes. Yes, she said simply. One word. 14 months of weight behind it. His throat tightened. Then her phone lit up on the table between them. A message from an unknown number. She turned it over without reading it, but not before Jiho saw the first 4 words on the preview. Get out right now. Jiho was already standing. How long have you been at this address? He asked. Since yesterday? Who knows you are here? Only Daniel. She was on her feet now, moving toward the bedroom, pulling the hospital bag off the floor with one hand. But Daniel's phone is not secure, and I should have remembered that before I used him. Jiho went to the window and looked down at the street below without touching the curtain. A dark car was parked directly opposite the building entrance. Engine off, no visible occupants. It had not been there when he arrived 20 minutes ago. We need to leave now, he said. She came out of the bedroom with the bag over her shoulder, moving with a calm efficiency that told him this was not the first time she had packed and walked out of somewhere fast. They took the stairwell, 4 floors down, out through the service exit at the back, into a narrow delivery lane. Jiho kept one hand close to her without touching her, aware of how she was breathing, aware of the weight she was carrying in every sense of that word. He got them into his car 2 streets away. He drove. Neither of them spoke for several minutes. The anonymous woman who called me, he said. Older voice. Said she was in the room when the decision was made. Do you know who that is? Amara was quiet for a moment. Possibly. She shifted in the seat. Your grandfather had a personal secretary for nearly 18 years. A woman named Mrs. O. She resigned abruptly about 3 months after I left. She paused. I always thought that was strange timing. Mrs. O. Jiho filed that name carefully. His phone rang through the car speakers. His grandfather's private line. He let it ring. It rang again immediately. He answered it. You took something from my study, Chairman Kang said. No greeting. A document with my name on it, Jiho said, and the name of my child. Silence. Come home, his grandfather said. This is not a conversation for a telephone. Tell me one thing first. Jiho kept his voice level. The 2 men who visited Amara 14 months ago. Did you send them? The pause that followed was 4 seconds long. Jiho counted. Come home, the chairman repeated. That is your answer, then. He ended the call. Amara was looking at him. He could feel it without turning his head. Jiho, she said, the wedding is in less than 18 hours. I know. Seo Yan has done nothing wrong. I know that too. She turned to look out the window. What are you going to do? He had no answer yet. Then her face changed. Her hand pressed hard against her belly, and she exhaled sharply through her nose, the sound of someone absorbing real pain. Amara! I am fine, she said, but her knuckles were white around the door handle. She was not fine. Jiho pulled over. How long has it been doing that? He asked. On and off since this afternoon. She kept her breathing deliberate. In through the nose, out through the mouth. The practiced rhythm of someone who has been attending appointments alone and learning everything by herself. How far apart? Irregular. It is not labor. She glanced at him. I know what labor feels like. This is stress, and I have been managing it. You have been running across the city 8 months pregnant. I am aware of that. He pulled back into traffic and drove toward the hospital. She did not argue. The maternity unit was quiet at this hour. A nurse took Amara through immediately when she saw the pregnancy and the visible discomfort. Jiho was directed to a waiting area with pale blue chairs and a vending machine humming in the corner. He sat down. He had been awake since 6 that morning. He had stood in a bridal boutique choosing a wedding dress. He had watched the woman he loved walk out of that boutique without an explanation. He had uncovered a conspiracy rooted in his own household, discovered a child registered without his knowledge, and spent the last 20 minutes moving a frightened pregnant woman through a service exit to escape surveillance. 18 hours ago, his life had been a straight line. He called Seo Yan. She answered on the second ring. I am at the hospital, he said. Amara is being assessed. She is not in labor, but she needed to be checked. Silence on the other end. Seo Yan, I owe you a real conversation. Tonight, whatever happens here, you deserve that. Yes, she said. I do. A pause. Is she all right? He found it difficult to speak for a moment. I don't know yet. Call me when you do. She paused once more. Jiho, the wedding coordinator needs a decision by midnight. The families are already at the hotel. I understand. He sat with the phone in his lap after she hung up. A doctor came through 40 minutes later, a calm woman who looked at Jiho with the measured expression of someone who had learned not to make assumptions about waiting rooms. She is stable, the doctor said. Stress-induced contractions. The baby is fine. She needs rest, hydration, and significantly less stress for the next 24 hours. She paused. Are you the father? Jiho looked at her. Yes, he said. Saying it aloud for the first time felt like something breaking open inside his ribcage. The doctor nodded and returned through the doors. Jiho sat back down. His phone buzzed. A message from a number he now recognized as Mrs. O. They know she is at the hospital. Mr. Shin has been tracking your car since you left the house. You have perhaps 30 minutes before someone arrives who is not there for her health. Jiho called Daniel first. I need you at the hospital. Now! Do not use your regular car. He did not wait for a response. He called his personal driver next and told him to move the main vehicle 2 blocks away and leave it running. Then he walked back through the maternity unit doors without asking permission. Amara was in a monitoring bay, reclining against pillows, a fetal heart monitor strapped across her belly. She looked exhausted in the specific way of someone who had been strong for too long without assistance. She looked up when he entered. We have 30 minutes, he said, possibly less. She did not ask how he knew. She simply reached for her bag. Amara? Not yet. He sat in the chair beside her. I need you to tell me about Mrs. O. Something moved across her face. She was the one who warned me tonight, he said. She called me from the boutique, and she has been messaging since. She said she was in the room when the decision was made. Amara was quiet for a moment. The night those men came to see me, she said, there was a woman waiting in the car outside my building. I only saw her for a second through the window. I did not know who she was then. She paused. 8 months later, I was in a pharmacy 2 cities away, and a woman approached me. She said she recognized me from a photograph. She said she had been trying to find me. Mrs. O? She told me she had been your grandfather's secretary for 18 years. She told me she was present the night the decision was made to remove me from your life, and that she had typed the document authorizing the payment to the men who visited me. She held his gaze. She told me she had resigned because she could not continue, and she gave me something. What did she give you? Amara reached into the hospital bag and removed a folded envelope. Inside was a single document. 2 pages. His grandfather's personal letterhead. A formal instruction, dated 14 months ago, authorizing the removal of Amara from Jiho's personal life using, and the language was precise and cold, whatever means necessary to ensure permanent separation. Below the instruction was a payment record. Below the payment record was a second authorization, dated 11 months later, instructing a private medical firm to obtain Amara's prenatal records and confirm paternity. His grandfather's signature was on every page. Jiho read it twice. Then the ward doors opened. Mr. Shin walked in wearing a civilian jacket, moving with the unhurried confidence of a man who had never once needed to rush, because doors always opened for him. He stopped when he saw Jiho holding the document. For the first time in 22 years of service, Mr. Shin had no prepared answer. Behind him, Chairman Kong walked through the door. Chairman Kang looked at the document in his grandson's hand and straightened his jacket. "I did what was necessary," he said. "For this family." "You threatened her brother. You had her medical records stolen. You registered my child without telling me my child existed." Jiho's voice was completely level. "And you sat across from me at dinner every Sunday for 14 months, knowing all of it." The old man said nothing. "That was my choice to make," Jiho said. "She was my choice." Silence. Mr. Shin was still standing in the doorway. Jiho looked at him directly. Something moved across the bodyguard's face. 22 years of it. The slow, unbearable weight of a loyal man who had finally carried something too heavy. He reached into his jacket and produced a small USB drive. "Everything," Mr. Shin said quietly. "Every instruction, every payment, every communication." He set it on the bedside table. "I should have done this 14 months ago." Chairman Kong looked at his bodyguard for a long moment. Then he walked out alone. No driver summoned, no calls made. Just an old man in a hospital corridor walking toward an elevator. His empire already shifting beneath him without his knowing it yet. Jiho called Min-jae. "The USB goes to our legal team tonight. Everything on it." "Yes, sir." A pause. "Sir, it's already happening. Someone leaked to the financial press an hour ago. The board has called an emergency meeting." Jiho ended the call. On the small wall-mounted television in the monitoring bay, a news ticker moved silently across the bottom of the screen. Chairman Kang Byung-soo of Kang Holdings steps down amid allegations of financial misconduct and abuse of authority. Board confirms emergency succession proceedings. Daniel read it from the doorway and said nothing. Jiho called Seo-yeon. "I know," she said before he spoke. "Jiho, I know." A quiet breath. "Take care of her." He could not find adequate words. "Seo-yeon." "Don't," she said gently. "Just be good to them." She ended the call with her dignity perfectly intact. Mrs. O sent one message at 3 in the morning. No words. Only a photograph. Amara at perhaps 26 weeks, sitting alone in a park somewhere, one hand resting on her belly, looking at something outside the frame. She had been watched over, not perfectly, but genuinely. At 8:14 in the morning, a girl arrived. Jiho held her near the window, where the early light was coming in clean and unhurried, the city moving below them as though nothing extraordinary had occurred. Amara watched him from the bed. He looked up at her. Outside, somewhere across the city, a bridal boutique was opening for the morning. Its white roses freshly arranged, its promises carefully displayed. This time, 3 people had chosen each other. No arrangements, no documents, no doors kept closed. Just this,